Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship qualifier here for the Asian and Oceania regions. My name's Kyle Laris, alongside Sean Apollo Clark. How are you doing this morning, man?
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, really good. Excited for some high-level StarCraft, like every morning, whether it be the GSL, the Pro League, or the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice qualifier.
Yeah, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. One spot is available for today, which is a big deal, as this bracket is pretty big in itself. We have like 150 players signed up, being comprised of a lot of the top Korean players, as well as we have a lot of foreigners also playing in this because it's not region locked.
I mean, first of all, it's on the Korean server, so you've got the best of the best Korean players playing from the likes of Flash, Innovation, MMA, Moru, Roro, Parting, the list goes on, really. This is a bunch of top-level Koreans. But also, it's just a qualifier. It's like a bit of a gamble for all the North American, European players, because you can play in it, and maybe if you get super, super lucky, all it is really is taking a bit of time out your schedule. And if you do get that super, super lucky shot, you get first place, which is obviously incredibly hard. You do qualify for the $100,000 tournament that will be held at the IEM World Championships in Katowice. So it's worth a gamble for some of these players, but also the Koreans looking to dominate, of course.
Yeah, I should think so. And, well, we'll be getting into our first match in just a little bit. We chose FanTaSy versus Czech as our first match. I'm pretty sure that people in the chat also can fill you in on exactly how to check out the brackets as well. But in general, we have quite a few spots still open for Katowice. We've already filled in around 7 of them, but we still have quite a few to keep going in terms of like 9 spots. 1 will be filled today. 2 more will be filled over during the weekend with the NA and European qualifiers. And then we have like quite a few spots to fill in the open bracket, and then obviously Cologne that's coming up as well.
Yeah, Intel Extreme Masters Cologne will also have 2 spots available unless there's a repeating finisher in the top 2, and then it will go over to the open bracket of Katowice, which does have that extra slot available because of Heroes Win at the most recent Intel Extreme Masters stop in Sao Paulo. So still slots available. We have 5 Protoss players and 2 Zerg players that are qualified for IEM Katowice so far. But now it's time to get some Terrans, I think, from the Korean server.
I would like to see that. I really would. They might have well, we'll see if they're going to have a bit of a hard time. They have been having a difficult time in Code S and things like that. Obviously, we only have 3 there currently. But as we saw previously also, guys, you can buy tickets to Intel Extreme Masters Cologne for that tournament very, very soon. So that's going to be cool. Come and watch us here in Cologne and watch a lot of good players. We're going to have a pretty stacked open bracket as well as the players that have already qualified.
Absolutely. There's just a lot of good StarCraft coming from the Intel Extreme Masters over the next couple of months. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all just waiting for that final tournament in Poland in March, where all these players will fight out for that $100,000 first place winner takes all. And that's it's a massive, it's never happened before in StarCraft to this scale. Of course, there's been other winners, winner takes all or nothing, but at this scale, $100,000, it's a lot of money, and we're about to fill out, or try to fill out, the player list for that tournament. I'm quite interested in FanTaSy versus Czech, though. FanTaSy's always been one of the highlight Terran players in Korea, from Brood War into StarCraft 2. Yet to have major success in StarCraft 2 yet. But is always on the breach of success. Whereas Czech, who's been around for quite a long time, really. You know, in multiple teams, multiple scenes.
Yeah, this Czech that we have here, previously Mr. Western Wolves Czech, now on the YI Spider.
YI Spider.
I could never pronounce it, man. Yeah, so, and we've seen him in quite a lot of these qualifiers. We've seen him quite a bit, doing all right for himself. Unfortunately, not really getting to the very, very last round. That always keeps being dominated by Korean Protoss, be it for things like Singapore, etc. But going into this one, I wouldn't be surprised if he did well. I think he's looking, looking to perform, and then against a player like FanTaSy, who also does pretty well in these qualifiers. I think this would be a good opening match. Yeah,
I would love to see FanTaSy come to Poland to be able to play in the World Championship, but it is, of course, a very difficult task because there's so many players that have signed up. As you said, it's around 150 players have signed up for today, but there's only just 1 position available, and it's to go through. We're talking here, I mean, maybe 6 different rounds, maybe more, different rounds per player, which means
Yeah,
you've got to
something
go
like that.
through 6 to more top level players here. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. It is all a best of 3 as well. So I mean, we can take a look at the bracket in a second here. I'll just bring it up for you guys. Okay.
Awesome.
So I've got the bracket. We can have a look at it. Just kind of look at the caliber of players that we do have. On the left-hand side here in the round of 256, it's not filled up, of course, as mentioned. There's roughly 150, just over 128 players. On the left, though, here's the list of players that have signed up. We've got Demaga, Major signed up, Pig signed up, and then, of course, all the Koreans as well. Byung, Symbol, Pig Baby, Younghwa, MMA, Alicia, just picking out some big names here. Effort, DRG, Innovation. And the list goes on, really, all the way down to the likes of Flash and Roro and Rain, First, Gumiho. I haven't really seen too much of him recently. Maru, there's just, you know, a fantastic set of players, really. And the list continues on. But we are now kind of ready for our first game.
Yes, we are. Our first map is going to be Frost here between FanTaSy and Czech. Again, if you've been watching the past Intel Extreme Masters qualifiers, be it in this studio or a little box upstairs, we've seen a lot of these guys playing, and they always bring some really, really nice games to the table. Don't quite eke it out to the very last stages, but regardless, for me, this is the big highlight of round number 1. I'm looking forward to this.
This is a good game. Remember, every game until the finals is best of 3, and then the actual finals is going to be a best of 5 because of its importance and what it means to actually go to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
All right, let's jump in for game number 1 here, as we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner here as our red Terran. It is FanTaSy.
Looks kind of great on screen right now.
It's kind of funky. It's a new overlay we're testing.
New style. I don't really know what's wrong with that. But we'll
I know what's wrong with it. I know what's wrong with it.
Do you?
Yeah, but I don't know how to fix it, Finn, so you're going to have to come along and try it out. It's something to do with the screen resolution on this. I don't know why it does it from time to time, but there you go.
On the fly fixing. I don't know how to fix anything.
All is good. We could have gone to that screen, you know, Finn. But Finn's well on the job, guys. Are we technically on that screen right now? Sick.
What was it?
All right. Does that fix it, Finn?
What was the problem?
It's something to do with the resolution. I don't know why it does it. It's something to do with encoding and resolution. But the new overlay is fixed. Sick. Finn is a wizard.
I thought the minimap on the right-hand side was a little bit weird.
I know. It's, well, playing another game, but anyway. Okay, so we have now Czech. He's spawning up to the top left-hand corner and sending out a quick drone scout, actually, here.
Yeah, drone scout, just to see, I mean, the possibility of, I mean, when you scout out this early, there is the option of 2 racks from the Terran player. There's 3 different types of builds. You know, not all players like to scout out early as a Zerg player, but it looks like Czech has chosen to.
Yeah.
I mean, let's pick the perfect example for Czech. I mean, I kind of talked about it and my brain's gone wild, but I didn't really explain a lot. The perfect scenario for the drone scout here is if he sees command center first, he can go 3 hatchery.
Yeah.
Like, that's the perfect scenario. That's the reason for the drone scout. And because command center first is such a popular build, he wanted to have a look.
And poor little Droney now is locked in, so unfortunately for him, gonna have to stick around and try and stay alive for as long as possible. He's trying to get a worker. He's trying to slide through with a mineral trick there, but doesn't get it in the end. So cute little micro by Czech, trying to get himself an SCV. But behind this, just goes into spawning pool as well as an extractor after seeing his opponent's opener. Yeah,
Extractor's going to give him speed quite fast in this game. It will come about 6 minutes and 30 seconds, maybe a little bit more than that, 6:45. And then obviously that's when FanTaSy will have to back off with his Reapers. But FanTaSy's open up double Reapers here with the second supply depot. We'll be looking to go for the expansion very, very shortly here. Just kind of both standardized openings.
Unfortunately, my little follow button is still broken, so can't really follow all of these units on. But we'll try our best here, as for now, we just have a little bit of gas coming in for him, as I said, to get that speed out. Trying to buy some time whilst this Reaper will get shooed away eventually. But nothing too hazardous occurring right now. I won't be surprised if this game went on for the long haul, but considering the spawning positions, that might be a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, these are kind of nice positions. Very aggressive positions for both sides, depending on how they want to play this out. The Reaper here doesn't, well, I mean, it can't get to the drone line, so there's 6 lings out, which is actually a lot of buffering that these lings can do to allow the Queen to get out. These Reapers, though, any Ling is a goal here. I remember in the old days when Reapers came out, any drone was a win. But nowadays, you're never ever going to get a drone, so every Ling is a win at this point. And none so far have gone down.
Yeah, especially against a player like Czech, who does exhibit really, really strong control. So, I mean, the Lings are just positioned in the mineral line as well, just in case the drones, the Reapers somehow managed to get past the Queens, which are the nice big wall there for Czech.
And this is the 3 Queen opening, not 4, by the way, so it means it would be a faster third hatchery coming in. And talking about fast third bases, is we have quite a fast third base coming in here for FanTaSy. Throwing down at the 5-minute mark, before any bunkers, before any extra supply depots. A very strong economy going to be powered through in the mid game here for FanTaSy with this early third.
Yeah.
But likewise, we should see an early third come in from Czech soon, I'd imagine.
It's like, in this qualifier, nobody is pulling any punches. Nobody's going to take any risks. They're just going to, you know, play their standard go-to games and try and advance on. Because, let's be fair, guys, this qualifier is the biggest qualifier the Intel Extreme Masters has ever done in terms of how much it means to advance on. There hasn't been a bigger one for Intel Extreme Masters.
Links in the middle here getting destroyed. Bit of a mistake there from Czech, having them on hold position. Every single one but one dies off, and he's having to rebuild an extra 10 here. Obviously not what he would have wanted to do. That's less drones that he could have had. 12 extra links.
And he's going to try and push that away there with the 2 Queens. He did get a cancellation on a Creep Tumor and even a Creep Tumor kill there. And now he's actually spotted the 3rd as well. So good moves here by FanTaSy early on. Just standard pressure, but really working out nicely for him.
And FanTaSy was even building Marauders because he wasn't exactly sure what his opponent was doing, just in case there was some form of roach attack that could have been hidden behind all this.
And he's going to lose himself an Overlord here, which isn't the best of starts here for Czech at all. He's got double Evolution Chambers going down, and the Zerglings are looking to try and cut off reinforcements or even go for a run-by, but in the grand scheme of things, left in the supply depots, easy peasy.
Yeah, this is a little bit wasteful of these Lings. Not even a single SCV went down there. So look at 650 resources to just 100, which was, I don't know, I guess a Hellion or something's gone down. I don't think any SCVs did. Or one SCV and one something went down. But not the best of starts here for Czech. He's lost a few units, and now the pressure's going to keep up. He's having to always rebuild those Lings, which means his economy's not really taking off. It's still only at 42 drones, where ideally he would have wanted to be a little bit higher than this already.
I really like how FanTaSy's playing out this, especially with how aggressive he's reinforcing with his Marauders, because if they get over there and start doing damage to that hatchery as well, this is going to be really hard for Czech to hold on to.
And there's 4 Marauders here, and they can absolutely, with Stim about to complete as well, do quite a bit of damage.
They are going to, one of those Queens is going to fall extremely rapidly, but at the same time, the Lings try and flood on forwards. They have to be careful, though. There's a lot of firepower in those Hellions, no pun intended, as they try and wrap around, but in the end, those Hellions are going to be able to clean them up, and the Marauders are not dead.
And if this third base gets picked off here before the extra 22 Lings come out, because there are still 4 Marauders, this game's as good as over.
Wow. FanTaSy playing a very, very strong game number 1. Nothing too fancy about it. I mean, apart from the Marauder addition, but this has been a really, really good game for FanTaSy.
Just a couple of wasted units here from Czech, which has allowed FanTaSy to break through.
Nice round, though, in the end for Czech. He's actually going to clean up, but he loses the hatchery in the end. Great focus fire there from FanTaSy, realizing that that was the big prize at the end.
And there's nothing really here that Czech... Well, he actually got a Bailing Nest, so maybe there is an all-in that he could do from this position, but still not really going to be cost-efficient and probably wouldn't work anyway, as FanTaSy has his full base in swing now. Great addition with the Marauders there. Great defensively with the first couple. Also great offensively, as we can see here. But what is Czech going to do? Is he just going to try and Bailing bust this?
I guess he's going to have to, right? I mean, but as you said, FanTaSy has just added on so much production that if by chance that there's a delay on this Baneling bust, I mean, it's going to have to come with 1-1, right?
Yeah.
Then the FanTaSy's just about to kick in for the production's just about to kick in for FanTaSy. So if he can get those units out there in time, he's already adding on bunkers. He knows that this is coming.
Yeah, this is I mean, I called it a long time ago here, and FanTaSy was probably thinking the same thing. It's such an obvious follow-up to this. He's been hurt so much. There's no layer. The third base has been destroyed. He's fallen way far behind in the game. And against a caliber player like FanTaSy, you need to not lose that third.
Yeah, exactly. Those Banelings crashing into a lot of that wall, but there's not that many left. He needs to raise the supply depots, and indeed he does. Keeping those Marines on the high ground in a great position to do a lot of damage as well. Meanwhile, though, the Zerglings do actually flood on through to that natural and will get themselves a few kills. Supply block FanTaSy as well during this.
Yeah, this is doing okay. FanTaSy really needs to close the wall off here as well.
Yeah.
Because there's more Lings coming.
How many do we have? We have 37 out right now. This production for FanTaSy, again, it needs to all rally to a focal point and try and push away these Zerglings.
Somehow, but he's not going to be able to. There are 11 Marines coming out at a time. They do have 1-1, and they will have combat shields here, but that's a lot of Lings, and they also have 1-1.
Yeah, especially since they're sat right on top of this production. So this is getting a little bit sketchy here for our Terran, as now...
His Marines are dying as soon as they pop.
Yeah.
All the SCVs are coming off.
He has to, but those 4 Banelings, 5 Banelings, in fact, right at the back here, could spell catastrophe here for FanTaSy. What has happened in this game? He just did not have the...
Widowmine's coming out, but getting killed immediately. The Marines getting killed off immediately here.
What a disaster.
What a disaster. This was his game, and I'm pretty sure he thought it was as well. There are Marines and Marauders still popping out here, but he's lost so many SCVs where the third base is now done, and Czech can continue on with the normal game if he doesn't kill off his opponent here.
Wow, ever the opportunist. Czech, realizing he'd taken so much damage, manages to plow on through FanTaSy, who just, I guess in the end, just did not have the defensive kit. It looked like he was going to do all right. He had 3 bunkers up, he had a few walls, but no. Oh, even that Widowmine doesn't get to burrow.
No, there's been out 4 not burrowed. They just get killed as soon as they pop out. And FanTaSy down to 25 supply. And after a fantastic start here, hashtag Tarantias.
Heartbreaker for him, an absolute heartbreaker. FanTaSy just, this is, again, the absolute definition of FanTaSy GG timing. I mean, he's kind of dead, guys, but he's going to keep going.
There was a couple of supply blocks throughout the game here which did slow down FanTaSy from having the right units out, but overall, he must be feeling quite disappointed with this. This was, I mean, as a Terran player, killing off the third base with such simple maneuvers is like, wow, I'm on fire, but no, that's not the case here.
Yeah, unfortunately, all these buildings are going to be on fire in a second, my friend. This is a little bit sad for FanTaSy.
Yeah, 19 supply, he's going to continue on. His third base has been found on the left-hand side here. And this is, as you mentioned, the typical FanTaSy GG timing, where he's still in the game at 18 supply to 83. And from this position, the layer has begun. There's, even without that, 17 more Banelings and 20 more Lings.
Like, is he actually going to keep playing?
Yes, he is.
Oh, God.
Yes, he is.
Well, all right. We have currently 3 workers against 44. And we have seen 1 or 2 incredible comebacks, but I don't know if this is going to happen against Czech, I'll be honest. Well, that just happened. All right, guys. Any comments, Sean?
I think FanTaSy's dead, Galaris.
I think so too. And so will his remaining Marines in a second. So this has been a fun game.
Yeah. It was something which FanTaSy will say, how did I mess up this?
Yeah.
And we'll probably, I mean, I'm stabbing at the dark without watching the replay here. I'm pretty sure it was supply blocks. But,
so
well,
you mean the defense at the very end to...
No, like, I mean, as in he was supply blocked at like 60 supply, 80 supply before the attack even came. It just slowed him down a little bit.
Okay.
Just like any game, when you get supply blocked, you're not having the right units out at the right time, and I think that was the case. He really didn't have that much. And Czech is able to power through here. But as you can see, Czech is now at layer. Spire's on its way. He's got 3 base bailing speed. There's no way that FanTaSy can come back in this. With only 2 command centers, there's not a high amount of income. He's mining from 1 base to 3.
Yeah.
This is just, I mean, he's holding on to straws at the moment.
And the drop's being tracked everywhere it goes. Zerglings and Banelings separating themselves up just to deny this wherever they can. So very, very nicely done here by Czech to solidify himself this spot in game number 1. But aside from that, we still have SCV production flowing. 14 workers to 68 right now. And yeah, this game is going to continue on. So when I said at the beginning it was going to go on for the long haul, this is not quite what I meant.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the closing, I mean, if FanTaSy doesn't leave the game, Czech will force him out when his 2-2 upgrades are complete.
Yeah.
Because he'll have an army that just can't be stopped. With bailing speed, 2-2 upgrades for the Zerglings, and then a bunch of Mutalisks as well. There just simply isn't anything to stop him.
Yeah. Well, the Mutalisks just, I mean, fly over and say, hi, how you doing? I mean, there are a few Widowmines actually out for FanTaSy that he could try and place to deny that. But the Mutalisks hunt down the medevac drop. And all the units on the flat ground are going to get killed off as well, so nicely cleaned up by Czech.
Yeah, as you can see, unit production is just flying ahead now, and he'll just look to close the game out. He'll go over there, Baneling speed, just research, not research, sorry, morph into Banelings, and then just go for the kill. Usually this is going to happen a lot when playing Fantasy. It happens a lot to anybody, really, when you're playing ladder, and to force them out of the game, you actually just need to go in there and blow the crap out of their base up.
Yeah.
And that's what he's going to do here. He's just going to morph in everything he's got and go for the kill. And then take map number 1. It's been a long, drawn-out game from FanTaSy, but what else would we expect?
Indeed. A few Widow Mines actually well placed to actually catch a lot of these Banelings once they actually move on in. Did he got centrifugal hooks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point, but whatever.
Yeah, FanTaSy can use this, you know, the last 5-10 minutes of this game, which has been pretty much useless, just as warm-up time for him. It's 5 PM in Korea, the start of this. Most pro gamers play all night, every night. So I wouldn't be surprised if he hadn't been up that long anyway.
Yeah.
And this is game 1, or at least the first couple of games of the day. And hopefully he can get ready to play the next one here.
Czech. I mean, Czech's just going to play this out patiently. There's no reason for him to actually risk something.
Yeah. He sent Zerglings all around the map saying, "Are you serious that you're still on one base?" And FanTaSy says that, "Yep."
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Well, he's going to continue holding on. The Marines trying to do their best with their 1-1. But 2-2 is just about to finish here, as well as +1 for Flyers. So actually, this is really beautifully timed out for Czech in terms of those upgrades.
All right, and this is where he says, "You see me rolling, you see me hating, man." Look at this. He's going to come through with these Banelings.
That's a lot of rolling. That really is. And, well.
Let's go.
Go, go, go.
Gung-ho.
All right, well, this is going to be fun. Banelings and Mutalisks and Zerglings. There you go. That's about it, guys. That's all I need to say about this engagement. He has quite a few Widow Mines, actually, that aren't burrowed currently. So
Go.
Whee! He's just sending in small little waves. Why not? It's like a campaign mission right now. Oh, actually, he sniped out a Widow Mine under some Marines as well, so that was nicely done there by Czech. And here's the third wave.
Yeah, true Zerg play right here. Wave after wave after wave, and here comes the last one.
Yeah.
And this is going to kick FanTaSy out of the game.
All right, GG. Game number 1 goes to Czech after quite a while, and that means he's 1 game up in this best of 3 in our first round. That was fun.
Yeah, it's FanTaSy for you, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I think that game was over before the 10-minute mark, but actually took 20 to finish. But that is FanTaSy.
Let's be honest, though. It was a cool attack by FanTaSy at the beginning, right?
Yeah. No,
to get that third, that was nice.
No, it was good. Definitely a great start from him. But then just through mistakes, through not being ready, got hit by the counterattack, which really wasn't meant to happen. But now going on to the next map, it is going to be Heavy Rain. And we'll see what he can do here, because he has to win this, otherwise he's going to be out the qualifier in round 1, which kind of sucks, really, because obviously standing up to this qualifier, you've got the eye on the prize, which is first place. But you get knocked out in round 1, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. All right, well, FanTaSy's saying go for the second map. It's going to be Heavy Rain for the next one here, as FanTaSy looks to tie up the series against Czech. But again, regardless who actually advances on from this first round, I wouldn't be surprised by either of these players, because they just constantly perform in these qualifiers. So it's kind of sad that they meet each other in the first round, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
I like how FanTaSy's using his real ID, and he's only in Platinum League, I think. Or
That's
Silver.
Silver.
Silver League.
That's
There's hopes for you all. FanTaSy's in Silver League.
There you go, guys. All right, let's jump into game number 2, as we have Heavy Rain, our map, and spawning down to the southern position as our Red Terran. It is indeed FanTaSy. And up to the north, we have our blue Zerg, representing the spiders that I can't pronounce the name of. It's Czech. Awesome.
All right, FanTaSy will not want to mess up this time. Will not want to mess up at all, as that really did cost him in that last one, and that was definitely his game. That's picking off a base like that. It's just a major win.
It was great, and it was really well played. Just the 4 additional Marauders, so simple yet so satisfying for him at the beginning. But now, well, after that, that's a little bit crushing. So, do you reckon he goes 3 command center again? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say do exactly the same. That was a great start for him.
yeah.
No need to change it up. Not on a map like Heavy Rain as well, which is kind of easy for the Overlords to get in and scout you and find out what's up. Do the same, man.
All right, all right. It's early in the morning here in Germany, but just in general, when we cast these, Asian qualifiers for Intel Extreme Masters, they're always an absolute treat to cast.
Yeah.
All the games are so good. We see people like Curious always showing us some awesome ZVT. I wonder. Wait a minute. Did we see him in the brackets?
Curious?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name popping out.
I hope he's in the brackets, man.
I saw Myungsik, who's another player that rose to fame in qualifiers like this.
Yeah.
But it is really like casting these games and seeing the brackets, like going to the cinema and having and going to the pick and mix and choosing what you want to eat.
Get whatever. It's great.
Do you know the worst thing to get at a pick and mix is the big snake?
The
The snake.
Is it because it's really heavy and it costs more?
Yeah.
Dude, I get marshmallows all the time.
Value is terrible.
Exactly. I get marshmallows, man. Like marshmallows, they weigh nothing. You get loads of those.
Yeah. I was always the teeth. Have you the teeth?
Like the vampire ones?
Are they vampire ones?
Oh, the other
they're
one.
just regular teeth.
They can have regular teeth and then there's the vampire ones.
But either way, they're great.
They are pretty good, I must admit.
So this is a hatchery, then extractor, then spawning pool. So the speed will be out pretty fast in this game, much faster than the last one. And that's kind of good because this map is kind of difficult because of the amount of surface area and the cliffs kind of all around your main base. The Reapers can come in and attack from any angle. And this is a bit different though. FanTaSy's actually gone one Reaper over to Reactor.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice change.
So we're just going to see him go straight into Hellions here and just have the one Reaper to buffer?
He may go 2 Marines and then Factory, because the Reactor, as you can see, is finishing quite before the Factory. So it may be 2 Marines ready for a bunker and then over to the Factory.
All right, well, the one Reaper actually goes in here, and all the drones get pulled off for a second. Well, a few drones get pulled off for a second to try and get rid of that. But that buys time for the Zerglings to pop out. Good control here by Czech as well, just building those structures to make sure that those drones don't die off. So not too badly controlled here by Czech so far, but he almost lost a Zergling.
Yeah, it's only 1 Reaper though, it's not too intense.
Yeah.
2 is obviously quite heavier.
Really good control from either side here right now. And Czech, with those queens out, should be able to get rid of this pesky little guy.
It looks like a second Reaper is going to come out from the Reactor here. So it's just the 2 Marines and then 1 Reaper and then a switch over to the Factory. But a second gas, more importantly, has been taken here by FanTaSy. We could be seeing him use the second gas most likely for going up towards the Starport and probably Banshee. Could see Mech come out from him. It's a great Mech map. But I'm not sure if that's what he'll want to do.
I would love to see Mech. I really would. I do like the addition once again though of the second Reaper, because 1 Reaper, if you're going to poke around with Hellions, it just isn't that much of a buffer.
He mistimed this 1 Reaper, by the way. It's going to die. He should have already left. I mean, this was gas then spawn and pull, which means the speed is going to be at just sub 6 minutes.
Jump.
Well, if he can get away with it, fair dues to him. I guess there's a lot of cliffs in the middle.
The thing is though, with speed, they can actually put on pressure across the map here.
Yeah, but there's 2 Hellions. They shouldn't really do anything.
Yeah, they popped at just the right time.
I did save that Reaper. That's nice.
Yeah, nicely done.
Oh, but there's a lot more Lings coming.
Whoa, why is there so many? 24 in total, that's quite
that's
a
a
bit.
lot of Lings.
Holy moly.
He's got to be careful not to get the Hellions surrounded. He has not got a wall off. And Czech is doing this because of the last game that FanTaSy was really greedy with.
Whoa, the Zerglings actually ran straight past the Hellions there for a second. I'm wondering where they're going. What is... Okay.
Doesn't want to lose his Hellions.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't. And the Zerglings try and get a small wraparound, but in the end only get one of the Hellions. And now the Hellions are a little bit isolated away from the mineral line here.
Yeah, I mean, he can lose a couple of SCVs here because obviously the Lings were built instead of drones, but he doesn't even lose 1. I don't think.
He lost a mule, so that was a half duration mule. So
that's not too bad though.
Yeah, it's not.
I still think that's okay here for FanTaSy, especially because I mean, he lost all those Lings. Sure, he got 1 mule, which is decent, but then he has to build even more Lings to deal with the wave of Hellions and Reapers and even Banshee that's going to come across. But bear in mind that Czech has not seen the 3rd command center. He has not seen the Factory in Starport. He doesn't know about Cloak Banshee, so there's no Spore Crawler, there's no Lair. And this is actually going to do a lot of damage if played out right.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult here for Czech. All of this aggression in tandem is very, very annoying, and Czech now sends an Overlord in to have a look around. These two Marines, will they be able to deny it before the Scout goes off? I think the Scout does happen, so he gets everything.
Yeah, and even he sees the Cloak Banshee now on the edge of his left-hand side here, but there's no spores, so he's going to have you know, a good amount of time here with Cloak to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, he throws one spore down in that mineral line, but it's already the harassment has already begun. So as the Queens come back to try and defend that, he can just poke into the third with his other units if he wants.
Yeah, if there was drones there, it'd be great. So another great start here from FanTaSy. Game 1 was great. Game 2 was pretty good as well. He's got to not lose this Banshee, of course.
Flying
Let's
on
take
away.
a single hit. It's a good start.
There is a Spore Collar in the main as well, so he doesn't want to chill out there for too long, but he sees the timing of the layer. So FanTaSy has a good idea about the momentum and pace that his opponent has right now in the game, but he's got 11 worker kills.
Yeah, great
Sick.
start. And another Banshee on the left-hand side too. And all those Hellions and Reapers on the right. So lots of options here for FanTaSy. A good start for the Terran.
And if he couples up those Banshees with the harassment, he could actually start doing a little bit of damage at that third base. But where is he going with these Banshees? He's going home for it. No, okay, he's going back. I was gonna say, he can try and find a few more angles, I think.
Do you know what you have to do if we go to a third game? You have to do that beep, beep, boop, beep for SK Telecom, because obviously FanTaSy playing for SK Telecom.
Yeah. All right, I'll try. I like that little sound, man. It's really cute. Czech. What are you going to do? This one Banshee's still harassing up to the north. One down to the left, for some reason, not really doing a whole lot at all.
14 kills, that's so impressive.
Yeah, it is, it's good.
Everything's alive, he hasn't lost anything apart from that mule.
And, well, has to be careful with that one Banshee. Okay, so he does get away. Just barely, though. Has to be careful with that. Okay, no, he doesn't get away.
Okay, now he's lost the Banshee.
Bye, Banshee.
But still, really good start from here. One thing... 1-1 hasn't started here for Czech. He's got the evolution chambers, but not 1-1, which is interesting.
Where were they? Oh, okay, they're at the back.
Yeah, they're at the back there, but he hasn't started to research them, so... Okay, there they are, coming in now.
And noticeably, this small little contingent of forces at the right-hand side, the Hellions, etc., didn't really do anything.
Yeah,
they never saw an opportunity.
So heavily onto the Banshees, but it's okay. You don't really need to do something with them. As long as they're still alive and you haven't just lost them, they can join up with these Marines here. And Bailing Nest not even done. This, I mean, this is going to be hard to hold on to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Granted that 1-1 isn't done for these Marines, but if that was, then I'd say this was quite dangerous.
He only has like 18 Lings out. He's trying to morph a few Banelings in here, but this is scary. This is danger days.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it, like, yes, the Banelings are morphing in, but no centrifugal hooks.
No.
If he controls this properly, yeah. This is going to be scary here for Czech. How well is he going to do it? And
great use of the Hellions.
Brilliant. Ooh, but those better. Okay, so that little stray on forwards there wasn't the most amazing of controls, but at the beginning it started out pretty nice there for FanTaSy.
Yeah, and he can always pick up, do damage, and even drop one down onto the low ground here. Just beautiful moves. And he's even got more units just weighing across. He smells blood. He realizes that Czech is well, as we can see, his game 1 has been a little bit outplayed. Great target fire onto the Banelings, making this much, much easier. And look at these waypoints through the middle of the map. This is... this could be over here. When Combat Shields finishes, this becomes even harder, which is just seconds away. Great game 2 here from FanTaSy. I'd like to say a great game 1 as well, apart from that small mistake.
There you go. GG. GG. A few Overlords even died off there through the middle for some reason. Rallied over there for Czech, but that wasn't the best of games there for Czech in game number 2. So game number 3 now on the way in a second, as FanTaSy and Czech tie things up 1-1. And I think we see Czech play a little bit more tight in this game. That second game seemed a little bit off.
Yeah, Czech has the same 2 problems in both games, which he needs to address going into the third, which is his early game defense against either, as we saw in game number 1, the 4 Marauders or the Banshees. He took damage early and just lost the game in the mid stages, which would have happened in game number 1 if it wasn't for that counter attack. So going into game number 3 now, Czech needs to be careful. Maybe even changing up his playstyle a little bit. Maybe going up to 4, 5, maybe 6 Queens, which is something we even saw in Challenger last night in the WCS Europe Challenger League. So the map is Polar Night, which definitely means we could see aggression again coming out from FanTaSy in the early stages. Czech needs to be careful. He needs to get to the mid-game on equal footing.
Yes, he
Otherwise,
does.
FanTaSy will walk away with this.
All right, just getting this lobby sorted out and good to go, guys. as we have Paul and I, as you mentioned.
You're going to be ready for the beep, bop, beep, bop, beep.
Boop, 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 boop.
I'm not sure exactly how it goes, but...
I think it's beep, boop, doot, doot. No, something like that.
Let's try it.
It's something like this. I like it, though.
And you have to do it as the game loads before you announce the players, obviously, because that's what it does.
Okay.
It's like as soon as it loads into game, that's when the sound happens, and then you introduce the 2 players.
Is that how it goes?
Yep.
Okay.
I watch Pro League every single time. Not Mr. Pro League, actually.
Dude, so do I, but I just like space out at that moment. I'm like,
I love it.
"Aw,
That's where I
cute."
thrive, actually, and then I tune out.
Okay. Tune out.
Yeah.
Sick. All right, guys. Polar Night is our next
You
map.
have been playing for 1 hour and 5 minutes. Excessive gameplay can interfere with your daily life.
This is our daily
Sagas
life.
got a message from Battle.net. Thanks.
All right, guys. Let's sweep on in to game number 3, as we have. Beep boop beep doop doop.
Well, you're not going to say we
SK5D.
have. It just loads and it goes beep bop beep bop beep.
All right. Okay. I did it
Anyway,
wrong.
You can do it now. You can introduce.
You want me
the
to do it
players.
again?
No.
Oh, okay.
Next fantasy game or SK Telecom game.
All right. Okay. Spawning up to the north, we have FanTaSy here, tying up the series, and down to the south we have Mr. Czech, looking to tighten those bolts, get everything going. All this fun here, Polar Night. I do love these casts, Sean.
Yeah.
We have quite a bit of fun in them. It's
Yeah.
not it's not our super serious normal casts by the looks of things, but this is important. This is important.
That's right. A lot on the stake here. Lots of stakes. So we'll see how this is going to play out. And you know, I definitely favor FanTaSy going into this game 3. Definitely favoring FanTaSy here against Czech. He just, even though the score's 1-1, seems to have outplayed his opponent in the early stages. And I wouldn't be surprised to see something along the same lines again if Czech's not up to standard. Definitely needs to be careful. That's not the kind of stuff you should be losing to. I mean, in game 1 he had great scouting, but didn't really note the Marauders. Is you don't really think about them being aggressive there. They're usually the first couple, you're like, oh, okay, this guy's a little bit wary of any rook spaling attacks, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then got hit a little bit. Then game number 2, he just didn't even notice the Banshees at all. Didn't have any spores until the Banshees on the other side. Was it 15 drones or something went down?
Yes. Really, really
Remarkable.
good harassment. And, well, FanTaSy for now. It looks like he's just going to be opening up with a normal Reaper opener from here on out, just to poke across once again. I would like to see, you know, the 2 Reapers quickly. I do like that play, because it just complements that earlier aggression so nicely.
And there is the gas after the spawning pool. So not before, just after this time. Which pushes his gas for finishing for speed, about 30 seconds later than usual. But that's not something too important here. But the reason for getting the speed here is to be able to deal with the Reapers, because if you don't get speed, the Reapers can eventually do chip damage to the Queens, which means it's really weak. The Queens are really weak for when the Hellions come in. And then it can even spiral more out of control there. And especially really good Korean Terrans are very good at getting damage done with the Reapers.
They certainly are. It's just, you know, a really, really strong micro. And, well, with that now, that 1 Reaper is heading across the map, having a little bit of a look around. Czech, at this point, just accumulating that gas once again so he can get speed going. Now, this time, will FanTaSy actually pull back a little bit earlier with this Reaper, considering in the middle of the map, there's not as many places to jump around and save a Reaper.
Yeah, you want to save these Reapers, definitely.
Yeah. And he sees the exact timing that speed actually starts as well. So he has a good indicator if he's really, really paying attention.
And Reaper does get out there. So we have the reactor again, which will be for double Marines. If we're just going to copy it to the last game, it'll be double Marines and then the 1 Reaper. And even the second gas has been taken, which the Overlord actually had a glance of before flying out there. So definitely all the scouting necessary to predict that Banshees are going to come into this game. Obviously can be a couple of other things. The other things it could be Blue Flame Hellions, could also be an armory for Hellbat drops, but most likely here's the Banshee again.
And that 1 Overlord will get pushed away, but for now it does have what it needs. We have another Overlord on the left-hand side that can jump in there eventually and spot that starport, which is actually in a very good location to be able to spot that. So if Czech's on the ball with his timings, he will be able to get the indication that he needs.
I mean, the likelihood of the starport coming down is like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Are you going to sacrifice an Overlord to scout something that happens 9 times out of 10?
True.
Or are you going to, you know, be super safe and say, well, there is that off chance? usually most players will just say, second gas down, gotta be Banshees. They won't try to sacrifice an Overlord because, like I said, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see what you're going to see, and you already knew that was happening, so you just wasted an Overlord. So I'd expect Czech to go down that route and just say, whatever, take my third, start to get a Spore Crawler been built in the middle of his second base and his third base to make sure he can pick it up and move it down to the third ASAP, because that's where the big threat is for Banshees on this map, is the distance between the second base for Czech and the third base is quite a while, and if you don't have detection over there in time, the Banshee with the Hellions can do quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, and all those units now on the way here for FanTaSy. So, meanwhile, actually, Czech going to start breaking down the rocks at the back here, so preparing himself for the later stages. I like this a lot by Czech. Taking that as a fourth base is really nice.
Fourth base back there, which means you don't have to defend out in the middle on 2 sides, just have to defend on the left-hand side here. On that right-hand side, you'd have to spread creep all over the map. But now, he only has to spread creep up the left-hand side, which makes it a lot easier to defend against the aggression for the longer game.
Still has to be careful about this poke, though, as FanTaSy has a look around, sees the third, gets confirmation of that. We do have those Spore Crawlers now being added on here for Czech. So he's covering his bases quite nicely and just being aggressive with that creep.
Just 1 Spore in the main, though. There isn't any on the left-hand side here. But so, luckily for him, the Banshee is going to go inside the main base. But he has to be careful on the left-hand side here to get a Spore down in time. Otherwise, the Banshee, especially if there's another one being built, which there is, can do quite a lot of damage there.
And Cloak just finished this very second. So now Czech has to be wary of that.
He's building the Spore next to his queen. That's perfect.
Fair play. Where is it? It's up here? Yeah, okay, there we go. So right in between. Also adding on a Spore at the third as well, just to cover everything as best he can do. Those rocks are not killed off at the back yet, but those Zerglings have done a really good job of weakening them off. He realizes he needs all the units he can get at the third base just to make sure he doesn't take too much damage.
So far, a much better game here from Czech. Much, much better. Hasn't taken any damage yet. He's got the Spore Crawler being built in the right location to protect against the Banshees. And the Banshees haven't really done anything yet. Obviously, the third command center has been slowed down a lot because of going for the Cloak Banshees and also the engineering base, which only just now added on. But still, FanTaSy without finding any holes to do damage.
And these 2 Banshees are revealed, but there's only 1 Queen there to be able to shoo them off. And not too bad in terms of the damage. 2 workers so far, having a little bit of a look around once again. But Czech still has good defense set up in order to be able to greet those. Yes, he'll get a worker here or there, but aside from that, not a whole lot.
Yeah, 5 workers now. Better than it was just now, which was a little bit, well, I think it was maybe 1, maybe 0. But overall, he's got 5. That's not bad. Obviously hasn't paid fully for both of the Banshees and the investment with the slower upgrades, but he's still going. He's got a couple more in the main base. 7.
Nicely done.
Almost got the 8th.
And he's going to have to run on home because now those 4 Queens are on patrol looking for Banshee blood. Meanwhile, at the left-hand side, got another worker with these Hellions. So not too terrible, and even using the Banshees for creep clear. I love seeing Terrans do this.
Not as important, though, as it should have been, though, or could have been, should I say, because this would have been very important if the base, the 4th base, was going to be thrown down in the middle.
That's true.
But because the rocks were attempted to be destroyed and have been destroyed now at the back, it's not as important that there's no creep this side. It is important, but not as important as it could have been.
Yeah, it helps out FanTaSy later on for when he wants to start pushing, right? But when it comes to Czech establishing bases, that's certainly the case. Now, FanTaSy also has a Viking out, so just killing off Overlords where he can, always a really nice addition. But those Queens, if they've managed to get that, ooh, so close. Has to be careful.
First 2 Medivacs are about to pop, which means it's the first time that FanTaSy can use his Marines aggressively. Can't use them before the Medivacs are out, because there is no escape route for the Marines if the Zerglings were to surround them. So on the left-hand side here, with the first 2 Medivacs, we had to put some pressure on, put some damage down over to Czech's side to kind of complement the 8 drones that he's already killed.
Yeah, and the retention of the Hellions makes those Marines all the more deadly in this stage, unless he gets a really good wraparound here with the Zerglings. Actually does, but at the same time, the Marines are there to try and help on out. The Banelings are attempting to catch up, but in the end, no sorry.
Yeah, that was nice from Czech. Not as cost efficient there from FanTaSy. Could have done a lot more damage with those Hellions, but they did get slammed against the wall.
I think the greatest addition to that for Czech was the Overseers, because if the Banshees had gone uncontested with Cloak, they could have killed off so many Banelings there. Alright, he's going to try and drop on this right-hand side. He has that Viking also patrolling as well, but still there's a push with FanTaSy with 4 Widow Mines heading over to that third base. So Czech has to be really on his toes here.
And Czech needs to spread creep past the Xel'Naga on the left-hand side here. As you can see, FanTaSy's really got rid of it, but there are a lot of creep tumors just right of that army. But FanTaSy's found his way in here. No combat shields, and not even in research. It's a bit of a mistake.
One of those Widow Mines got 11 kills very quickly. A lot of them do get cleaned up at the sacrifice of some Banelings. And meanwhile, on the right-hand side, FanTaSy also dropping once again. There are enough Zerglings. Well, actually, no, there's not enough Zerglings there to clean that up. So this is a little difficult here for Czech. He's being strung left and right.
Yeah, he is. This is pretty good for FanTaSy. If he's able to get rid of all the creep tumors just south of the Xel'Naga Tower, this is absolutely wonderful. But so far, this has been pretty good from FanTaSy.
You're right. There's so many Widow. There's so many creep tumors there that are active.
Yeah, if he can get rid of those, because there is no creep spread in the middle, and that's what you have to have as a Zerg player to engage properly.
Yeah. Scary stuff here for Czech. FanTaSy's playing a nice game. Slightly supply blocked, though, at this point. Will slow him down just a little bit here as Czech's getting out a lot of Zerglings. He's at 67 workers to 63.
Here comes the scan, I think.
Yeah, has to.
Oh, it's so juicy as the Terran player.
That is pretty beautiful.
If he could have got them all, that would have been even better.
Zerglings and Banelings run in to deny that. And rightly so, as Czech now tries to deny everything that's going on in this location. Kills off quite a few Marines, but FanTaSy splits on back quite nicely.
And 2-2 now completed for Czech. He's not really mining properly from his fourth base here. Does need to get into the gases, but he's building a lot of units here, and he's starting to creep spread in the middle here. This is turning around a little bit for Czech now. If he's able to push these creep tumors further and further in the middle, that was what FanTaSy had going for him.
Yep. FanTaSy now adding on a Thor as well, and realizing that his opponent has quite a few Mutalisks in the sky. Kind of important. It does allow you to zone out those Mutalisks for a little bit, unless they're going to try and magic box, and even then it can always be a little bit difficult.
So from this position, because it's such a small map, you don't really want to tech up to Hive anytime soon. You just want to keep increasing the Mutalisk count until you get, I don't know, maybe 30-odd Mutalisks. These are currently at 15. Once you get up to 30, they're very cost efficient. You can just keep doing damage over and over time, and then even eventually find yourself going into the main base, the natural base of FanTaSy, doing damage while the Banelings hold at home. But so far so good. Czech would be quite unwise to attack down there.
Poke on forwards there for a second there. FanTaSy tried to clean up some creep, but in the end, realizing his opponent's entire army is there, it's kind of scary. So
yeah,
he has to be super careful still.
Czech's managed to stabilize really well in this game, considering the amount of pressure that he was under, with FanTaSy dropping in the main, killing the third, or at least doing damage to the third, should I say. But, you know, FanTaSy's still in good shape. He's got a fourth command center. 2-2 is about to complete for him now, and he can go over to 3-3 as well.
And it's just still little pokes forwards time and time again from both players. Czech looking for an opportunity to maybe snipe out some Widow Mines with his
29
Mutas.
Banelings.
Whoa, that is
a lot of gas been thrown in here.
Jeez.
There's not that many Widow Mines. 5 Widow Mines, 4 Widow Mines now.
I mean, with those ones he just sacrificed, he's going to have still close to like 50 Banelings.
Those two Banshees on the right-hand side would be very useful.
Where are they?
But there's also the drop inside the main base. This is nice from FanTaSy. All of the units for Czech are on the other side. So if he's able to defend this heavy Baneling attack while continuing to drop.
Well, a lot of that stuff does clean up in the main with a few Banelings there. And Czech for now pushed on, but he lost a lot of health on his Mutalist. So he has to be careful. He can't take straight up engagements so carelessly and take so much splash damage.
And there's still 2 live Widow Mines there too.
Yeah.
FanTaSy sees the high amount of Banelings that keep on getting morphed here, so he doesn't need to be super aggressive. You can drop 1 Medivac here and there, but just hold the third. That's all you need to do against this, because remember, if your opponent's throwing all his gas into aggressive units, and that means he's not taking up, and the closer you get to 3-3, the better you're going to be.
Exactly. Will Czech get bogged down in this mid-game is the big question, as there's a 4th base trying to be established on this right-hand side. Meanwhile, a bit of creep cleanup, but there's so many creep tumors, it's going to be difficult to get those. But actually, the Mutalists already going for this command center. If he's able to get that, would be fantastic here for Czech, and he does. Oh, connecting with a lot of Marines as well. Jeez, a lot of death there.
Pretty nice. 2 Banshees have found their way to the Spire too. Looks like +2 will finish.
Yeah, definitely. It was going to be... I was thinking it was going to be close there for a second, but it was only 8 seconds off. So even transfuses and tries to keep this alive and starts another upgrade. So very, very mindful play here by Czech, trying to clean up in the middle.
And Czech has lost all his creep now, though.
Yeah.
It's still there for now, so it means he still can fight.
And we have 18 workers killed off during all of this, but FanTaSy has to lift off and get out of there, because that is a big, big wave of Zerg. threatening his position.
Yeah, FanTaSy should just kind of hold off now, try to max out, drop one more time. Actually, he is dropping it one more time, and then go for an attack with 3-3. Just hold off for a little bit more, and then go with 3-3, and try to get that fourth back up and running, because his main base is pretty much mined out, which means his income's starting to drop off when it comes to his mineral income. His gases are all mining fine, but I think we should see him move out soon, especially if these Mutalisks like an anti-timing, because yes, they'll get into the back. Oh, if they get 3-3 though, actually. They have +2 attack.
They
If
could
get the
it.
3-3.
They could get it.
That's massive.
Oh, Czech, he's going to go straight for it. He realizes exactly what's up. 3-3 falling, plummeting into the ground.
Oh, wow, that is huge.
Jeez. Perfect timing.
2 Thors here to help out against this. But obviously not going to be able to do too much. That's a massive hit there. Absolutely huge.
Yeah. Really, really big deal. Normally you see Zergs having a really difficult time at this exact point in the game, but now Czech, having shut that down, has the best opportunity to really play out this game further. I mean, he has the gas available. He's maxed out. He could quite easily add on his hive and keep on going here.
Yeah. I mean...
a lot of Banelings crashing into everything. I'm not sure that was entirely worth it there for Czech. That was a lot of gas kind of down the drain.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of gas, as you said, to spend, so... and he knows
true.
his opponent is bleeding with upgrades and economy. The one thing, though, he's going to allow this fourth base to get up and running on the right-hand side, which will start to fuel the income of FanTaSy one more time. But still, this is becoming a little bit dangerous here for FanTaSy after losing that 3-3.
I love the fact that FanTaSy instantly adds Sense Tower straight onto that location over on the right-hand side. Information is absolutely key when you're going up against a very highly mobile force such as Czech's, but his army is way out of position to deal with these Mutalisks once again.
I thought the Mutalisks would go for the fourth there.
I thought so as well.
Yeah, they should. They absolutely should. I mean, he's got spines and enough Banelings to defend his left-hand side, so this is a win-win. If he gets this, we could be saying goodbye to FanTaSy in this best-of-3 series.
We certainly could be. Meanwhile, though, at the other side of the map, drops the scan, tries to kill off some of the creep, but all those Zerglings and Banelings denying the fifth from going down. Very, very good, strong play here by Czech, who just decides, I'm going to make Banelings and not much else, because Banelings are a good unit.
Oh, and even the medivacs.
Oh, so many units dying up there. Great control of these Mutalisks to kill those off. He's losing a lot of them, though, to the Thors, but it doesn't matter. The Thors get cleaned up by Banelings, of all things.
Hashtag Terrantiers, as FanTaSy drops down to 134 supply in Czech. Is looking in good shape now. Absolutely beautiful shape. There is this drop on the left-hand side, which is doing a bit of damage here. But overall, after losing that fourth again...
Yeah, this is tough. This really is. The worker count here far in favor of Czech. His income far in favor. Now, though, FanTaSy will press on to the fifth once again and try and deny that, which is a nice move here to bring him back into it somewhat, but he has still an uphill struggle.
Yeah, and this is the point where FanTaSy would like to take a fifth because his natural's running out of resources now as well. So, just not getting any better here for FanTaSy, the SK Telecom Terran.
Killing off those remaining Widow Mines in the midfield, and FanTaSy just maneuvering around trying to find some stability. He's going to have 3-3 finish soon, but again, that should have finished ages and ages ago. This is not the timing that he would have liked.
Yeah, he has one decently sized army and well-upgraded army, but there's not really too much behind it, which is the big problem because his economy's been hit so hard.
And loses a bunker at his third base now. That leaves it vulnerable somewhat, as he's going to try and stim over there and get that going. But once again, lots of Banelings decide you are not going to have your third base for much longer, my friend, if those Mutalisks have anything to say about it as well. But the Thors do mosey on, and will push that away. But he's losing so much in the main as well, Sean. This is just downward spiral.
This is not so good at all here as Czech, who basically looked a little bit shaky in the early mid stages again, but then really stabilized strong after the drops of FanTaSy got shut down. And as you can see, we found ourselves with Czech lead in this game. He's had great denial of the Force Command Center, which is now up and running though, so all hope is not lost yet for FanTaSy. He's finally managed to stabilize a little bit once more.
His mineral income's doing all right, but his gas is not. So he somehow needs to get that going, unless he just wants to go exclusively marine. But I don't think that's going to be the case for him. I mean, he's supply blocked at this point, is FanTaSy. So he really needs to get out of that. These Mutalisks have been doing an absolute number on his main base.
Yeah, it's never say never. And if he keeps on building up a strong economy and building up a strong army, then he can fight well against Ling Zergling, Baneling, and Mutalisk. Especially with his good upgrades. Oh, this right-hand side, there's a lot of winner mines.
There is. A lot of them do get triggered by the Zerglings being split on forward, so there's still a lot of Banelings there without, well, 2 of those winner mines at the back. Whoa. But he just crashes Banelings into a planetary fortress. And on the left-hand side as well, the Mutalisk going to town on the orbital. This is...
just won't let FanTaSy breathe in this game.
Yeah.
As soon as FanTaSy starts to look like he could get back into this, Czech does something else to put him further in the lead.
It's suffocating, it really is. And even with those medevacs actually leading the charge there onto that third base, a few of them got killed off as well. Still, 31 Banelings being morphed in. It's relentless.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously, though, Czech would like to tech up a little bit more. So, not really Ultralisk, I don't think is the best decision because his income himself is low. But I recommend probably going for 3/3 upgrades and then also Adrenal Glands. But FanTaSy, never say never, never surrender. As he's going to start mining once again from these bases. Does have a drop inside the, or coming up inside the main base.
There's more Banelings than there are Marines, Sean, at this point. This is going to be a little bit sketchy here for FanTaSy as he tries to hold on. Gets a really good volley off on those Mutalisks with that one Thor, but now the Zerglings and Banelings flood on forwards. The Marauders are going to have to soak a lot of Banelings if they need any hope.
These mine hits, though.
Oh, it could actually work out. Oh, he actually gets quite a few of those Banelings, but it's still not enough. Actually, a lot of those Mutalisks did take quite a bit of damage.
Yeah,
but
it's not enough, though, as you said. He's been shut down here once again. There's only 3 winner mines that are even close to this. With so many Mutalisks and Zerglings and Banelings, look at the supply difference, 175 to 98.
Nicely done by Czech here in game number 3, shutting down FanTaSy's hopes and dreams in this final game of the first round of this qualifier. So we have plenty more on the way here. Hive morphs in, 10 more Mutalisks. The swarm just keeps on plowing forwards. Widowmine's trying to hold on strong, but in the end, FanTaSy's caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, this has been a long struggle, this game. A really, really difficult struggle here. And as you can see with the income, as Czech has decided to take multiple bases across the map now, with the 5th one now being established, is just looking great for him. He's kept the Mutalisk count high, and FanTaSy, what's his income like? It's not doing terrible because of that back base, but even a couple of Zerglings to been sent from their commander up north and stop that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of ways that FanTaSy can get back into this one, but it's just not really the case here.
No, I don't think so. It's going to be difficult, really is. Supply blocked. He's caught in a landslide, guys, unfortunately. As FanTaSy now moves into the middle of the map with his bio. Not really going to do too much. And the Mutalisk is going to head off to the top right-hand corner.
Whereas there's no defense.
Easy peasy. Poor little FanTaSy.
Yeah, and that's his SCV line gutted. So he's got kind of one last attack here, which is going to get shut down from just the units at home. I suppose the Mules can come back to help. There's just not that many units here. There's 2 Marauders and a handful of Marines. We're talking about 20, 25 Marines here.
Yeah, and a few more Banelings with those Spine Crawlers holding on strong. The Mutalisks laying waste to all of the SCVs that come for the fight anyway. But that is going to be it. GG. Czech makes FanTaSy escape from reality, and we are done for our first round.
Yeah, that's a sad game there. Sad series for FanTaSy for sure. In FanTaSy fans, he's a great player, but today was not his day. Great news for Czech as he advances on to another round here. And we can take a look, I imagine, in a second, at the brackets to have a look how we're doing. Obviously, we're going to have some results come in here and there. So we can jump over and have a look at the brackets to find out some other games that have gone on so far. We've had Sorry knock out Pig. I'm not sure who Sorry is, but he's knocked out Pig.
Sorry?
Yep. Shine has knocked out Major. We're actually advancing really fast in this bracket.
Whoa, we really are. Okay, let me update as well, because I'm looking at my screen. Okay, so Trust over Solar, Bunny over Haas, Trap over Creator.
Rare beat DRG. Innovation beat Nurtio. Some of the games that standing out. Parting advancing on as expected, likewise Dream. Hydra advancing over Lucky there.
Cure advancing over Hook.
Heart beat Cassia. Is that a new school Zerg player that plays in Pro League? Yeah, lots of results here.
Ooh, there's Maru versus Paralyze in the round of 64. That looks cool. But I assume we're going to be getting game invites pretty soon. The thing is, guys, it's an online tournament, so it can be difficult to transition from game to game. Obviously, all the games are being played as they go. They say, oh, my next opponent's this guy, I'm going to jump straight on in. But for now, I'm not sure if we have another series. Our admins are diligently looking for one here for the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Qualifier. But we've already had a cool series with FanTaSy and Czech. So.
Yeah, that's a good one. Doesn't look like we have a game right now, but we'll have to go searching for one, I suppose.
Yeah, so maybe we go to a short break and then try and find ourselves a game here. So guys, don't go anywhere. We are going to go to a short little intermission, and then when we're back, we'll have more StarCraft action from the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Qualifiers.